Hello, everybody. This is a new release. This is kind of an exciting one. It's called They Thought I Was Dead by Peter James. And this one is Sandy's story. So, almost 20 books in the Roy Grace series by Peter James, we finally find answers to the question of what happened to our main character's first wife, Sandy. At the start of this series, Roy Grace has the shadow of his missing wife, Sandy, hanging over him, which was such a great background mystery to his character. We don't know what happened to the detective's wife, he doesn't know, and it leads to a sense of intrigue around him throughout the series, with some other characters in the book sometimes wondering if he had something to do with her going missing and things like that. I've always loved this setup around Roy Grace and seeing him grow as a character, with Sandy much later in the series being found with a son, Bruno, that Roy never knew about. In this book, we finally get the answers to the long-running mysterious background to what happened to Sandy Grace. I was really excited to read this one, and I enjoyed it a lot. It opens on Sandy years earlier, telling us that she's taking on a new identity, leaving Roy, and taking a mysterious person with her. She's on the run for her life, owing a very large amount of money to an Albanian man with ties to the Triad or Chinese mafia. From the first pages, we're right into the story, no messing around, and I love that we get drama in those opening pages. I was wondering, when I started reading this, if we know this much already in the first couple of pages, there must be, a lot that's going to happen in the course of this book, and there really is. This book has so many twists and turns and so much drama. Sandy has been on quite some adventures, taking her across countries and scraping through troubles and touching on drug dealing, gambling dens, mafioso, murder, mayhem, a little bit of cult, and much more. I'm trying to be a bit ambiguous so you can enjoy the ride for yourself without kind of knowing too much where it's going, but it's quite the life story for an ordinary woman from what's basically suburban UK. I think perhaps this may be the aspect that I maybe felt more critical of. Sandy does not really seem that smart. She does not look like a Bond girl or something like that. And yet her story takes her to the wildest places and turns her into an international woman of mystery. After so many books in the series, her story really needed to be big and dramatic to be satisfying to the reader. And because of that, sometimes it all feels just a little bit far-fetched, or a couple of the things that happened, I was like, oh, that's quite convenient. That's good timing for her. It's a lot. And sometimes the sort of villains in the book seemed a little bit cheesy or cartoonish. But yeah, Sandy is interesting as a lead character, and I liked that the author chose to have the book from her perspective rather than have her story be a case that Roy Grace investigates, for instance, which would have worked as well, but I thought this was a good choice. It's great to have her tell her own story and understand her motivations and sort of who she is and how she really thinks and that kind of thing. She's not actually very likable at all, but the book and the things she gets up to are pretty entertaining. It's quite the trip, and it's great to see, like her inner self, her thoughts, feelings, choices. So I liked that. It's very fast paced with the, short, quick chapters that keep those pages turning. I feel like the main Roy Grace series does this really well as well. Things are always developing very quickly in this book. And Sandy, though, she's the instigator of her problems. She's her own worst enemy for sure. But on the whole, she's slightly passive. She makes some decisions, but she's often sort of pushed by or rescued by a man, and then she just sort of becomes dependent on them, or sort of throws herself into their sort of care, so to speak. I think this works well for the character or the type of character that she is and some of her problems and issues and that kind of thing. But I did find myself noticing this as I was reading. I was like, well, it's convenient that that guy was there and was just sort of happy to take this on, But yeah, for fans of the series, you'll find a lot of little things here that tie into the main series, like Cassian Pews is here. I think that's how you say his name. And we learn more about what Bruno has gone through in his life. That's her son. And also the flip side of what it was like to be married to Roy, a different perspective on him. That's kind of was an interesting take too. These parts were really fun for me, thinking back to the books that I'd read in the series and how this book, sort of fit in or referenced those little plot points and stuff. That was really fun. I'd always wanted to know what happened to Sandy, and this book does not disappoint for me. It is a little bit over the top sometimes, but I was always invested and entertained the whole way through. It's a wild ride, it's a bit of a trip, but after such anticipation, it really had to be satisfying to fans and to readers. So I really enjoyed reading this one, and it was great to find out who Sandy really was, what really happened to her. Great addition to the series, in my opinion. So this one is for you if... it has plenty of twists and turns. It's a good crime story, but it will probably be best enjoyed by fans of the Roy Grace series who have waited to find out what happened to Sandy Grace. So this one is definitely a book for the fans, but you can read it if you haven't read the rest of the series, and you'll still enjoy it. And thank you to PGC Books, who sent me the ARC of this book for review. You can check out some of my other videos. I also have another channel and socials, so you can find links below if you want more of that. And if you want to hang out again, remember to like and subscribe. And you can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought, or let me know what else you might want to see. Thank you.